Let's solve the homework. The first problem is an easy one. It's just mainly to try to get the list comprehension with reading the file. As we learned, we can read the file using a for loop, like for num in file. It's just getting to iterate on the loop in the file line by line and return back for you a string. So what we need is mainly to convert this string to integer then absolute. This way we got the list that requested for us. After that, all what you need is just to sum the list, then multiply with the maximum. That's all, nothing more fancy in this problem. The second one is more of real life applications style. Your real life coding would be something similar to this task, and it might be challenging mainly to consider the different cases. Observe that the task itself is simplified. In real life, there will be less assumption, there will be more uncertainties, and so on. Anyway, so how to tackle this problem? This is the file that we have, and we have several days and we have invalid lines. So for me here, I kept it simple. I was trying first to get rid of invalid lines, then try to get the last date from every line, then try to compute the differences. To do that, I split my code to three actually different functions. The first function, let's start from the main. The main is just reading here is the path, and we are going to pass it to the compress function. And this is simple utility here to compute the date using the current date time and the str function for the time. So this is how we prepare the current date, the output bus, and the compress function will take the input path and return for us a list of the lines. Then all what we need is just to iterate on these lines and print them one by one. That's all. So let's go to the compress function. To make the logic easy, I divided it to two functions here. One function here is getting rid of all of the invalid lines, then getting for me a single day per a bunch of days of the same day. And once we are done with that, I'm going to compute the result of that. To get rid of the NA, we can make use of the assumption that if there is an NA in a line, then it is invalid. And for simplicity, we are going to just ignore all of the line. In some other cases, one might think, okay, I would like even to make use of all of the available entries in a line. But for simplicity, we know that if there is an NA and it's bigger, then we are done with that. We don't need to consider the line. So with the simple list comprehension, I'm filtering all of the lines that have the word NA. After that, we have the next task is for a day like let's say November 18th. We have a couple of days. For November 20th, we have 3 days. We need to get the last one among them. Now, there might be several ways to do that. For example, one can start with something like that here. I have a very big logic here that is trying to get the current day and the next day and comparing if they are equal or not. Are we at the end of the list or not? A lot of logic. But, and this is something that I would like you to keep in mind, the same problem probably can be solved in many ways. And one of the worst things that you can do to yourself is just get an idea and go ahead and code it. When you get an idea, think about, is there an easier way to do it or not? Because if you manage to write easier code, less code, you will have less bugs and you will finish your tasks in shorter time. You are also developing your mind to think more and more. This is like encouraging your mind muscles to be better. Now let's see how to do that in a smarter way. To do that, I'm going to make advantage of a dictionary. Let's iterate on all of the lines, valid lines. For everyone, we are going to get the day of the line, which mainly you need to split it by tabs, then get the first date and time, then split by spaces, and then get the first item. This is going to extract from you here this one. Once we got that, I'm going to overwrite in a dictionary the current line. Now, what if we have 7 lines, all of them with the same day? Only the last one of them is going to be saved. But observe that I am making use of the fact that the dictionary will maintain and preserve the order of the input. So when we get the dictionary.values, this is going to be the same order as the input order. If it happened that someone is going to run your code using an older Python version where the order isn't maintained, the code will be buggy. And this is important why to know that there are, like, you should be aware sometimes with a feature and the changes that happen through history. Specifically, you need to be aware, can someone run my code with an older version and then everything got corrupted or not? So this is a smart way, but this is also a catch that you need to take care of. Once we are done at this moment, we have only one single line per an entry. We will have this last line in the November 18th, this one here from 19, this last one from 20, this one from 21, this last one from 22, and this one from 23, and this one from 24, because this one is invalid. Now we have now a valid and a simplified list of entries. So here comes our last function, the compute increment function, which is mainly going to compute the difference. To compute the difference, you need mainly to compare the current row with the previous row. So I'm iterating here. I have the previous list for the previous row, and I have the current list for the current row. I iterate over all of the columns, but starting from 1, because the 0 is for the date mainly. And after that, I need to get the current rating, previous rating, to do the subtractions and registration and so on. I have a simple utility function here. The function get a string and make a split for it, and returning for me the first two items. I have here an assumption that every element will be simplified entry, and later when we'll learn about exceptions, we'll change the code little bit so that it even be stronger when we have like something that is unexpected from the user. Yeah, that's also we're extracting the current column, we are making subtractions, and we are putting them. Yeah, this is all the code here. The corresponding function here, compute increment here, that's here, is a bit slower. For example, the previous list here is computed with every single step, which is a bit slow. That's all.